Hello, good evening, and welcome. I'm Jim. Hope you're doing all right. This is the Dadler Soul sessions for July 2024. It's the 4th of July. It's Independence Day. It's election day as well. But most importantly, is Jim chats to some people on the live stream on the Dadler Soul social channels day. And that's how it shall henceforth be known. So it's time to do my favorite bit, which is the it's the this morning style menu for the show today. So this is what's going on the show. You have got very soon Dan Flanagan on the way. He's our founder, our Uber Lord. He'll have an update on Dadler Soul. 8:45, Alex has got his conflict management clinic. Your questions have been asked. He will be answering them. Ben Moorhouse, friend of Dadler Soul. He does extreme challenges to raise money for stillbirth research. He's going to be on at 9 o'clock. And then Kate Edgcumbe-Rendle is going to be on talking about improving the mental health of kids. She does a lot of work in schools. She works with childhood, smartphone-free childhood and people like that as well. And she's got some interesting insights on what's going on at schools and how we can help the mental health of our children, which is obviously important. But first of all, as I said, Dan is here. This is a chat that I recorded earlier on today with him. He's here. It is the man and the myth, the legend, Dan Flanagan. Hello.
Hello. I should be here, or I should be at Downing Street, really, helping him pack up.
Well, I mean, you know, the polls are still open, so we don't know. But I've got an idea that Pickfords are on standby. I
saw a photo. They were there a couple of days ago. I wonder how it works, because surely you've got to pack your stuff up. Yeah. Even though you might win.
Yeah, like especially if there's an election where it's a bit closer. I don't think it'll be a surprise if Rishi's not going back through those doors anytime soon. But yeah. There must be elections where it is a lot closer, and it's like, well, do I collect all this stuff together? Because it's going to be really annoying if I can't find the kettle and I want to celebrate a win by going back to 10 Downing Street and I don't know where it is.
Or for you, it's like losing the kids' passports again.
Oh, that's too soon.
Comedy callback.
It was around about this time last year where that occurred. In fact, actually, it was a little bit later in July because it was just a few days before we went away, or we were meant to go away to Disneyland Paris, and it was not enough time to go to Durham to go and get a new kid's passport.
So you put the new kids on the block instead?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I got a new kid's passport. It was Donnie. He's the only one I remember.
Marky Mark.
Oh, of course, Marky Mark. Yeah.
And what about the Funky Bunch?
Yeah, no, them also.
What are they up to these days?
Can't imagine they're as funky. I mean, you know, we like to maintain funkiness, but it's a good 40 years, isn't it? That's a long time to maintain funkiness. Yeah.
It is. Jesse, just off air, we've been discussing that the noise you hear in the background is because I've got a big park beside me where Pride is being hosted over the weekend, and we've got a couple of 90s boy bands. So we've got 911 and we've got Boys Life, which is a bit of Boyzone and a bit of Westlife. So I would not pay to see them. Either I can probably see them from the house as well. Mm-hmm. Last year we had Betty Boo, who did the doo-doo. But I think back, I would pay to see the Funky Bunch.
Yeah. I mean, I'd pay to see Betty Boo, to be honest. She had something about her.
She did.
911 and Boys Life. I mean, you know, not if that's your thing, that's fine. Yep. Not for me. No, it's the end of, and literally my front room is there. I look out, the stage is there. So if I was to put my head out the window and go like that, I could see them on stage. Thankfully, I'm at a wedding and I get to miss all of it. And you could hire out your living room to people who don't want to pay the full fee, and they could watch it from there.
Probably do, but probably like the people at Glastonbury do. They Airbnb their houses for like 30 grand.
Yes, yeah. So you can go back and get a hot shower and a toilet that isn't just a ditch in the ground. Oh.
And some have swimming pools.
Beautiful, very nice. So then, Dan, what's going on with Dardler Soul?
What is going on? I've tried to sum it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words.
Okay.
Because you said we were on a tight ship. So it's homeless, funk-filled, caste-dwelling robot overlords.
That's going in our LinkedIn description.
And my Tinder profile.
Okay. Well, maybe expand a little bit.
Okay. Well, the first bit is we did a Dad's Only session with a wonderful charity called the Manus last week in Brighton, and we met 2 lovely human beings called Liam and Graham, and they came along and they told us their individual stories about life on the streets. You know, the rates between being a man and women on the streets. You know, I think it's 3-4 times the amount of men on the streets. But what was really touching was they were saying what life was like beforehand. You know, they had jobs, they had families, and then Mother Nature had a cool twist of fate, and they sort of just both rapidly went downhill and lost everything about them. And yeah, it was quite poignant. It was quite heartbreaking, quite heartwarming. But now they live as part of a community in this whole sort of, it's a converted manor house, which is a community for people that have now left the street, and they've got a self-sustaining farm there. They've got a big indoor market, so it's like your Jill's favourite place ever. Loads of vintage stuff there in a haunted house.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and they were lovely. And it just made me think about how wrapped up we are in the material world. Because these guys literally have very little, but they are so happy and so joyful to have a roof over their head and meals a day. So yeah, that was very, very special. They've actually gone on holiday this week, but I am in touch with their support worker and going to try and get them to guest to the show as well, because they've got incredible stories that need to be held. So we had that. The funk-filled part of it is that we're getting ready for our summer party, which is 2 weeks away. Huge, beautiful outdoor amphitheatre, DJs, rappers, singers, circus performers, stand-up comedians, bar, and it all finishes at 4 o'clock. So you can come and have your mini Glastonbury between 1 and 4, and then go home before bath and bedtime. So I think there's 25 tickets. I tell you a weird thing. I've been really depressed because I looked at the tickets and said, oh, it's like 100 tickets sold. And I said, really? Been putting loads of work in there. And then I read the small print, and that was like, and there's 100 family tickets. Oh, no, so that's 400 people. The capacity of the venue is only about 450. So we've got like 25 tickets left. So I went from feeling really sad and really down to go, oh, I should read.
Yeah, we've almost oversold this. There we go.
Oversold, yeah. Stop that print run and that flyers and the dancing girls I was getting out to advertise it. Yeah, we are getting ready. The day before, we are taking over Lewes Castle. So beautiful old place. Well, we've got our dads and kids played out over in Lewes, and we decided we're going back and doing some history stuff. And then on the complete flip of that, I am working with a team of very interesting and very bright people to see how ChatGPT and AI can help us. So I did a talk at a lovely community called Brighton AI last week. They went very well, and that's loads of brilliantly minded techies. And it's like, right, I came and told them some of the struggles that we as a not-for-profit have. So right, how can we build some tech for good? So this is what we need. How do we get the robot overlords working for us? And it's been, say, every day's a school day, but the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been really leaning in, as kids call it, into tech. And it's like, wow. That's it. So we're all out of a job. So I'm going to get a job as training a robot overlord.
Yeah, no, exactly. If you can't be a robot overlord, then train one.
I've actually been training it to write it like me, because they say, oh, you know, like you're a journalist and a copywriter, going to steal your job. No, it can't write like a human being. It can come pretty damn close, though.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying. It's write this article in the style of Dan Flanagan. Here's some examples of my work that I did beforehand. It's like Blue Peter. Here's one I created earlier. And it's getting there. It's terrifying. But the downside of that is when I went to my first course, came back all really, really buzzing, went to parents' evening, and then my son's IT teacher said, "Oh, we're not looking at that till like year 9 or 10." And I was like, "Mate, they should be training these guys at primary school into it."
I mean, if you think how far it's come in the last year, then you think, well, this should be sort of part of our life now. And also, not only how we can use it and how we can make our lives easier, but also how we can spot when things are not quite right. Because sometimes things are not quite right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a whole bit of deep discussion of deep fakes and copyright, and lots of people losing their roles. But I kind of see it as like, we used to have the Horton cart, and then somebody created a cart.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be that.
It is true. I mean, there's always been something that's come along that's taken everyone's jobs, and we've just had to adapt. But you'd have to kind of hopefully think about what you're going to do next before it does that, right?
Yeah, you can't be part of the villagers where they trying to burn out run them out of the village. So it's here. It's not even the future. It's the now. I've used it to save money on my shopping, give me a healthy eating plan. It helped. I did a little bit of exploration actually when I went to New York. I said, give me a week of all the things I need to see in New York. Save me money, save me time to get A to B and act like a New York native. And it did.
And it told you to say, forget about it. Because that is how...
Forget about it.
Is what they all say.
It did. Again, casually racist. We can see who you've been voting for today, haven't you?
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Dan Flanagan. And
homeless, funk-filled, castle-dwelling robot overlord.
You just needed to get that back in again, didn't you? Perfect.
I'm pleased with it, actually, if I'm honest.
No, you should be. Dan, thank you very much. That was my chat with Dan Flanagan earlier on. That's what's going on with Dadless Soul still to come. We have got a load of stuff for you on the Dadless Soul sessions on election night. Look at these fine candidates. Very soon, Alex, with his conflict management clinic, Ben Moorhouse, who has previously had technical issues getting onto this stream. We've checked it out. It's working. He's on from 9 o'clock. And we've got Kate Edgcumbe-Rendle as well on from about 10 past 9. And she's going to be talking about improving the mental health of kids, what the state of mental health is with children from what she's seen with her work in schools. Can I just show you something that I've seen on Twitter recently? And I imagine most people watching are parents, and it's the Dadless Soul thing. This definitely, I understood this. I got this, and it made me laugh a lot. I'm not voting for my local MP, Braxton Hicks, as I don't think he's really Labour. Now, that is a very clever parenting pregnancy joke. So I enjoy that very much. Let me do that once again, because it took me about 3 minutes to go, what? I've never heard of... Oh, I see. I'll leave that one with you. Now it's time for our workshop, our clinic on conflict management with the one and the only Alex. Alex, how are you doing? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Jim?
I'm good, thank you. You got the Braxton Hicks joke, right?
Of course I did. I thought it was very, very entertaining.
Isn't it very clever?
It's very, very clever, yes.
Gosh, I wish I could be that clever on the internet.
Mind you, whenever I've told a woman she's in Braxton Hicks, they usually look like they want to slap me one, because as far as they're concerned, they are in labour.
Right, okay, yeah, I can imagine.
I understand that. I mean, I may be a bloke, but I've delivered enough babies in my time to understand the trauma of going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Any man can.
I bet. Now, you're here with our conflict management clinic. People have been asking their questions. You are answering them. First one is this one. My teenage daughter has recently become really private and dismissive of our attempts to engage her. To be honest, I want to respect her independence, but it's a struggle because I also want to get to the bottom of what's troubling her. Any ideas?
Okay, well, first up, it's a little bit difficult to answer generically, because is she 13 or is she 19? Or any point in between? Because how you deal with a 13-year-old is going to be very different to how you deal with a 19-year-old. Mm-hmm. Likewise, a 15-year-old. But I'm going to be slightly generic, and some of this might not apply at either end of the age range. Yeah. They're complicated beings, as we all know, with teenagers. As I've said on numerous occasions, I've got 3 of them at home. And communication is always a challenge with them. Either they speak a language you don't understand, or they just look at you with a withering look that you've basically said something completely and utterly 1980s in my case, or possibly 1990s in your case, Jim, being that much younger.
Well, I'm not that much younger.
But it's, I mean, basically the big problem is always going to be hormones, and we know it's going to be hormones. So it's trying to have a really informal conversation with her, usually when you're not just doing that, so it doesn't feel like an interrogation. You're driving somewhere, you're walking, you're going to the supermarket, shop, whatever it is, somewhere that's vaguely appropriate. I'm just thinking the supermarket shop, it depends. If she's going to have a paddy on you, then probably not. But in other words, don't sit down at the dining room table and go, right, we're going to talk about this, because that's going to immediately put the barriers up. So it's a more casual, drop it in, encourage her to say, I'm really proud of you, we're really proud of what you've achieved. I don't know, as I say, age dependent, you've done really well in your GCSEs, you've done really well in your mocks, you've done your A levels, you've got your first job, you've done well at college, whatever it might be that she's doing well at. Praise about that. Yeah. And then just say that you are worried that there's something you're not doing or should be doing to try and help. And is there anything that you can do to try and help? Yeah. But also directly tell her that you don't want to invade her space. That's really important. Yeah. You're not going to, take the bedroom door off its hinges. It's been very tempted in my house on numerous occasions as a way of managing it, but it's not really the way to do it, and, reassure her that you love her, that you want to be there for her and try and support her. But it's about not having a confrontational discussion about it. It's about throwing it in as a casual, not a throwaway comment, but almost in that sort of genre, if that makes sense. Very casual, very relaxed. The one thing I would say, if her health deteriorates, her general demeanor goes down, she seems to be losing weight, or she's not sleeping well, then that's time to probably try and engage her with your GP, because there may be something more going on that needs to be addressed.
Okay. But I like that idea of just subtly dropping into conversation whilst you're doing something else, as if it was kind of natural. It's going to take some practice, though. If you've got another half, maybe practice on them.
Practice on them, and also identify if there's 2 of you parenting, either together or co-parenting, try and identify which one out of the 2 of you she's liable to react better to. And then that one, do it as a one-on-one. Don't do 2-on-1, because that will immediately will come across as force of numbers, safety in numbers. They're having a go at me.
Okay, good cop, bad cop. That's not what you want. That's not the dynamic we're looking for. No,
it's not going to work.
Next question. I'm part of a sports team, which is basically something we do for fun. The new captain is taking it way too seriously, though. We had a tournament the other day, and he was on it as about what we were eating and drinking in the run-up. He's taking it far too seriously. Obviously, we want to win, but how can I tell him to back off a bit?
People are naturally competitive. Humans, whether we like it or not, 1, we're gregarious. We like to be with other people. And 2, we are naturally competitive. Yeah. We want to be the best. Some people are more pragmatic and want to be the best they can compared to themselves. So try and achieve personal bests. Others are very outwardly competitive and want to be better than the person next to them. So it sounds like this captain wants to be the best, not necessarily selfishly for himself or herself, but I say it's he, isn't it? I think they said he. Yes, he's taking it. So selfishly for himself, might want to be the best collectively for the team that he's in. Try and understand where they're coming from. That's the first thing. And that's what I've just said there. It's about understanding that people are naturally like that. Next up, those are really great suggestions, Bob. I'm going to call him Bob. There's a really great suggestions, Bob. And I'm grateful for you taking such an interest in the team's nutrition. We'll certainly take your comments on board, which is a slightly, for those of you that remember Yes Minister or Yes Prime Minister, a slightly Sir Humphrey type answer, which is, actually not committal, not committing to anything. Yeah.
Mm.
But just say that, you all want to bring your best to your team. You all want to do the very best, but this is still fun for you. You are amateurs. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, as in it's not your paid job. So it's not professional. You are unpaid amateurs because that's what you enjoy doing. And the same, no disrespect in using the word amateur. It's the correct use of it. And always try and acknowledge what he probably perceives as caring suggestions. Yeah. So the last thing you want to do is throw that back, because that can then blow up in your face. Yeah. And just try and just see if you can gently work away at it. It's also important to note, is it you, whoever the writer is of this, or is it you and the team, or number team? Is it a collective feeling? If it is, then perhaps 2 or 3 of you have a gentle chat with the captain together. Not all of you, because that's aggressive, but 2 or 3 of you. Then he realizes it's not just one person, which could always be put down in his mind to a clash of personality.
Yeah, okay. But if the person writing that had said all that, and then it turned out that everyone else on the team was definitely with Bob, then that would be maybe they need to rethink their future with the team.
Yeah, they do, and they need to ask around. Basically, Bob says we need to, stop eating the Mars bars and the kebabs the night before with a couple of pints, and see what the response is.
Okay. Last one is, my son is really into his drama. I'm fully behind him, dedicating himself to his passion in his spare time. My other half, though, reckons he should be spending more time studying what she calls proper subjects, maths and science, etc. That'll help him in his future. How can I help her see that this is good for him too?
Flippantly, I might suggest that they sit down and watch Billy Elliot.
Oh yeah.
The movie. Yeah. Because that's actually that's quite a parallel to this question. Drama is a wonderful way to improve life skills. I'll indulge myself for a moment here, if you don't mind. When I was 7 years old, I had a really bad speech impediment. I still stutter. If you listen closely to when I talk, I still stumble over certain words. My dear late father's way of dealing with that was plonking me in front of an audience of 700 people at the age of 7 to do a Q&A session, which I did. On a subject I knew fairly well, so it was fine. I was confident in my knowledge. It was just about standing in front of 700 people. And also he taught me to throw my voice, because there were no microphones in those days. This was the late 70s. You were in a church hall, you threw your voice. Now that was a form of acting and a form of drama. And actually it helped me. And now I stand up in front of, I think the biggest audience I've done is 2,000 at an international conference, and it doesn't faze me. So drama has a huge potential to help you in so many aspects of your life. Learning from a script, public speaking, as I've mentioned, teamwork, working with other people that you're not used to working with and you suddenly have to work with. It will help prepare him for job interviews, university interviews, college interviews, whatever it might be. Yeah. And at a time when, we've just talked about the young lady who spends all her time in her bedroom disassociating with family. Here's a young chap who actually wants to associate with other humans, not via a screen. And so that's actually a really, really good thing. And it's, traditional subjects are important. Absolutely, they are important. But to use an old expression, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And so to ensure that this young lad has a good, well-rounded education, actually, you need to have things like drama. That's why drama's on the curriculum. That's why they do sport. Even if they hate sport, they have to do some form of physical exercise because it's good for them. And so if he's found something that he's passionate about that actually involves real human interaction, A, that's good. And B, being drama, actually, it's a really good life skill to have.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that. That's enlightening as always. Alex, thank you very much for joining us. And what I want to do next month, is just have you talk for the whole time about whatever that subject was you talked about when you were 7, and see if you can remember it.
Oh, I can probably remember it because I ended up presenting that subject for about 15, 20 years in the early 20s.
There you go. Perfect. Fascinating story. Also, I love these insights we get into your life as well, because it's brilliant. It's really good. And that shows exactly why Alex is the right person to be here and talking to us about the conflict management stuff that we go into on this show. Next month we'll do it again. If you've got a question that you want to ask Alex, you don't have to wait until the day until I put it out on social media. Just direct messages on any of the socials at Dadlersoul on most of them, and we'll get hold of it and we will put it to Alex at the next conflict management session. Still to come on this election night special. I say it's election night special as if, you know, we're talking about the election, which we're not really. Kate Edgcumbe-Rendle on the way to talk about improving the mental health of kids. Ben Moorhouse very soon, a friend of the show. He's been on a couple of times before. He's talking about his latest challenge for stillbirth research. But Dan was talking earlier on about the open air theatre, the Brighton open air theatre, all day afternoon, old school block party thing that we've got going on. Here's more details.
In the parks after dark, we boys came to listen in shell-toe Adidas, fat lace sneakers. The techniques turned and Brits burned the speakers. Band rocked the place. The party was live. We talking 80, 81, no later than 85. But yo, I can't lie, my eyes were never blessed by the visions that I'm living of rap. Resurrected, check your tape deck is heated, about to melt while format spins the wax that's on the belt, terminating all ties. By now you realize, short shot of rocket shit, or rappers that's omitting our roots. Who you kidding? True, we can't forget Melly Mel, Grandmaster Kaz, and all the rest. And if rap's new to you, God bless. Let me suggest you take heed to the words that I manifest.
It should be said, not many tickets left for that. Do get onto dadlersoul.com. You'll find the links to the tickets there. But if you are a middle-aged b-boy, like many of us dads are, then it really is your own responsibility to look after all of your limbs if you try to do any breakdancing. Thank you very much. There's a public service announcement. Just before we talk to Ben, this came up on social media earlier on, talking of the election. There you go. Vote Rick Astley for Prime Minister. He'll never give you up, let you down, run around, desert you, make you cry, say goodbye, tell a lie, or hurt you. There you go. That's why your vote should be in Rick Astley's box later on today. Here we go then. It's time to have Ben Moorhouse back on the show. Ben, how are you doing?
Yes, very well, Jim. Thank you. How about yourself? All good?
All good here. Not too bad. Just cracking on with this. Normally by this point on a normal show, we've gone well over time and everyone's late. But actually, I managed to get Dan to just talk for 10 minutes, whereas normally it'll go on for about 20. So actually, we're doing all right for time right now. So it's a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle on the 4th of July.
All going to plan. All going to plan, Jim. It is.
Plan. I just said it's going to time.
Yeah.
You know, those two things are very different, Ben.
It is.
So, Ben, just for people who might not know you, just give us a little background to your story.
Yes, I'm Ben Moorhouse. I live in Halifax, West Yorkshire. I've got a very small charity, myself and my partner Gaynor, the Calipatra Moorhouse Foundation. This was set up in honour of our daughter Calipatra, who was stillborn at 37 weeks of pregnancy back in October 2018. So our charity is a promise to our daughter just to continue her legacy and to help other, to help all dads who have to hide in the shadows, because when it comes to baby death or baby loss, dads are treated very differently. And we also support research as well. To help save babies' lives. Because of research, our son Apollon, who's now 4, is here. He survived his pregnancy in 2020, and he starts reception school in September. So if it wasn't for research, he wouldn't be doing that.
I can't believe he's 4. I can't believe he's going to start school already.
A big boy, yeah.
Wow, amazing. And so to raise money for stillbirth research, you tend to put your body on the line, it's fair to say.
Well, you could say that, Jim. As you know, I'm not one for doing things in small terms. I do like to go to the extreme, so to speak. But yeah, this year I'm doing two extreme challenges. One in 9 days' time on next Saturday, on July the 13th. So I'll be walking 110 miles from Halifax through to Blackpool, and then direct through to Manchester to St Mary's Hospital, which is where the research team is located with Professor Hazel and his team. And then 5 weeks later, I'll be heading over to Rhodes in Greece, and I'll be taking on Sambika Monastery, which is down on the east coast. And there's 300 steps from the bottom to the top on one of the highest mountains on the island. I'm not doing that once, not 10 times, but 100 times in one day at the height of summer. I've done the full island before. I'm still the history maker in Rhodes, the only person to walk around the island non-stop in 2021. But yeah, now comes to another chapter for Kalipatera, and yeah, just try and raise as much money as possible over the next few months.
So this is the thing, right? You walked around the edge of Rhodes and you did that all in one go. A couple of years ago, you walked from London to Manchester.
Yeah.
Non-stop. I mean, this
Non-stop.
was, obviously you stopped to have a wee, but like there was no like going to a B&B or anything, was there? It was all in one go.
Just one go. Yeah, it was 2021. Oh, sorry, 22. When it was the July heat wave. So yeah, a couple of years ago when everything come to a standstill. Everybody on the national news saying please stay indoors. But I was out walking 180 mile non-stop from London through to Manchester. And then last year I walked from Edinburgh Castle through to Manchester non-stop, and that was 206 mile. But yeah,
but it was all downhill because it was north to south, right?
That's it. Yeah, just kept it rolling all the way. So yeah, it would have been good for sledging, in winter. But yeah.
The fascinating thing was when we had you on a couple of years ago, there was obviously quite a lot of discussion about it from people. People couldn't believe that you would even attempt it. I remember someone getting in contact and just saying it's impossible. He's absolutely joking if he thinks he can do it. There is no way on earth that he can do that. It'll take him a week at least. And it took you nowhere near a week, did it?
No, so yeah, I mean the London to Manchester, I think it was 47 hours possibly. And then last year was just a little bit more due to the distance and the weather. But yeah, you've just got to put one foot in front of the other, and it doesn't matter how much training I do. I'm touch wood. Last year I had a couple of really bad injuries, as you know. I did an MCL tear. I was badly injured during the event as well, but this year has gone really, really well. I'm probably in the best condition I've been in for maybe 3 or 4 years. But yeah, training it does help, but it's the reason why you're doing it is the biggest motivation. My daughter, Alex, and the team, and when the going gets tough, and when your body wants to say no more, you've just got to use love and use all the motivation just to keep going. And yeah, no matter what happens, I'll keep going.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. And I don't doubt you as well, because I know you and I know that you don't give up on things. Let's have a look at what that walk looks like, or these selection of walks. Very dramatic indeed. And if people want to sponsor you, that's what it's all about, right? It's about raising that money.
It is, yeah. It's as a link is on the page. You know, I've always said in the last few years, raising the money is the biggest struggle. But this year, I'm trying to be as positive as possible. You know, I'd like to thank everybody who's donated so far and supports me each and every week. To the people who will potentially sponsor, donate, support, thank you all as well in advance. In the past few years, I've put far too much pressure on myself with regards to fundraising. You know, I'm just a normal dad who does my best. And at the finish line, if I can say I've done my best and raised a few grand for Alex and the team, no matter what's raised, I should be proud. I know Callie Patterer will be proud. And yeah, I've just got to keep focused on the two jobs at hand. You know, it's one game at a time, so to speak. I'm focused on 9 days' time and then the month after. But yeah, try and raise as much money as possible for Alex and the team. Every single penny goes direct to why we do what we do, to save babies' lives. Children, you know, are the most precious gift in the world. And I would do anything to have Callie Patterer here with a little brother. And, you know, if there's anybody out there listening to this and you see your children tonight, tomorrow morning, tomorrow, just give them an extra hug. Because, yeah, the gift of children is the most precious gift. And, yeah, just pressure, you know, make the most of every single day, every moment with them, because life's short. And yeah, just enjoy every moment with your children.
So that's justgiving.com/page/KMF 2024. And I just wish you the best of luck once again, Ben. We'll get that link put out onto the Dad Soul socials as well tomorrow morning, probably. And in fact, I'll do it this evening. There you go. I'll work overtime just for you, Ben.
Oh, thank you very much, Jim. But before I forget, I'd just like to congratulate yourself as well on the latest King's Birthday honours for your being awarded your latest OBE and becoming an Earl as well. So I'm so proud of you, Jim, and, you know, keep up the good work. And yeah, very, very proud indeed.
I mean, thank you so much. I mean, I don't like to brag about it, but yeah, I became an OBE and an Earl in the King's Birthday honours, and now I'm an earlobe. And I make that joke on the internet twice a year. I have done for the last like 15 years, I think, or something. And now I realized last night I was thinking about that and I can't stop now. People expect it now. It's I'm stuck. I'm trapped in a joke.
They do, yeah. People sit waiting on that day, when that day comes. You know, Facebook, Twitter. Wait, when's it coming? You know, just waiting.
Yeah. But you're not even joking, are you? People do. I get text going. I get text going. Where's your message? Where's your update? Where's your Facebook update? And I'm now stuck in a joke that I can't get out of.
Highlight of the week, Jim. When it happens, it's so, yeah. If it gives people a big smile, and that's what it's about. It's all in good fun. But yeah, no, if it's yeah, so proud of you. Keep it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll happen at New Year as well.
It will do.
Ben, thank you very much for coming on.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Jim.
That's Ben Moorhouse. There you go. So it's justgiving.com. I think you can just do /KMF 2024. But if you just Google Ben Moorhouse, I think it comes up anyway with the Just Giving page. And it is an amazing thing that he's going to be doing. So just the best of luck to him for that. Absolutely brilliant. Right. Time to get our main guest of the evening on. Kate Edgcumbe-Rendle, how are you doing? You all right?
I'm very well. The main guest. I don't think I should be introduced as the main guest after your fantastic
all of that
already this evening. Well, it's actually a pleasure to be the only woman here tonight. So thank you so much. I know. Thank you so much for having me. I've known of your charity for quite a while, actually. My husband knows it very well, and also I know Tyler, who's one of your key people, and also Stuart, who works at Edgcumbe. I know he's a big fan. So I think the work that you're doing is absolutely fantastic, and there's not many places that are doing quite what you guys are doing. So hats off to you, because it is so needed in our community. And as I always said, there's so much onus on women. And actually, navigating through fatherhood and navigating through these difficult times with families and small children is really hard. And I think a lot of the time, unfortunately, the men do get left by the wayside. And so, yeah, you guys are doing amazing work.
I mean, it's Ben's an example, you know, and he said his experience of you know how he was treated after the stillbirth of his daughter was he was just basically put to the side, and you know, and obviously there is the care for the mum, and there needs to be, and that's important, but there's mental toll. It's, you know, as much on him as well.
Absolutely, Jim. I think it's absolutely huge, and I think as you know, men men are in a different place in society than ever have been before. There's much more pressure on men to be more, you know, helping out more in the home. They have a much more active role than ever before, and so therefore, I think they definitely need the support, which they might not have necessarily needed back in the day. Their role has completely changed. So absolutely, I think there is always so much onus on the women, and in many areas, don't get me wrong, it is definitely needed. But I think, yeah, absolutely, men need to be looked after throughout this journey, if you like, because it's really bloody hard having small children. I've got 3 small boys, and it is tough. So yeah, I think absolutely where we can be supporting men within our communities is paramount. So my work in schools. So I run a business called IDU. I'm also a presenter for the RAP Foundation. And I've just bought the Outdoors Project in Chichester, which is very exciting. So I spend a lot of my time with a real privilege, actually, speaking to young people. And I do a lot of work with young boys. And it's, you know, it's really, really fascinating because unfortunately, we are still in an era where there is huge amounts of stigma around talking, and I'm a great talker, but you know, so many young, particularly boys, still find those conversations really hard to facilitate. So my work is to hopefully go in and where we can to promote conversations and, you know, perhaps have those awkward chats they might not want to have, and give them a platform to be able to share their feelings, because you know, I really believe this. It's incredibly difficult being a young person at the moment. I think they are grappling with so much more than we ever grappled with. My big thing at the moment is obviously smartphones and social media. That has added so much pressure. And again, strangely, we always lean towards the girls. But actually, I would really say that many, many young boys at the moment are genuinely, they're struggling.
Yeah, there is a lot going on, isn't there? And it is, and I'm at that stage where my daughter is a year away from going to secondary school, and I'm thinking about what life was like for me compared to what life was like for her, and it's a lot different. There's a lot of social pressures that I don't, maybe I didn't even notice at the time, but I think it is more so. And there is that debate about smartphones and not, and some parents have given them and some parents haven't. Is what you're finding then from being in schools and talking to young people, are they concerned about what's happening with sort of smartphones and the social pressures on that? Are they noticing that, or is it sort of something that's happening to them that's possibly just like an external pressure they don't even really think about, I guess?
Do you know, it's a really interesting question. And I think I always say that the generation right now have been our guinea pigs. So we have just enabled them to have free reign. There you go, have the internet in your pocket and off you go. And I think now what's happening is that we're seeing the impact. We're seeing the statistics are coming up. There's amazing research. I mean, this amazing guy called Jonathan Haidt has written this book called The Anxious Generation. If anyone is interested in this topic, I highly recommend you read it. And, you know, the proof is in the pudding. So the statistics are coming out there. When I speak to young people, I would say a vast majority of them are now recognizing and realizing the impact, that I should say the negative impact that social media and potentially use of smartphones will be having on their lives. So I think when you go delve a bit deeper, obviously they think they have to have it because everyone else has got it. But when you delve a bit deeper in those conversations and you say, look, how is it affecting your friendships? And they go, actually, you know, we don't really speak anymore. You know, we've got constant FOMO. We're constantly afraid of not being part of something. We're staying up late at night because we're too afraid to miss out on a WhatsApp chat or a Snapchat streak or whatever else it might be. So I think when you delve a bit deeper, the youngsters are definitely realizing the impact that it has. But as I said, I think I think in 5 years' time, there's been so much noise in this space at the moment, which is actually really exciting. I think in 5 years' time, the idea of giving 11, 12, 13-year-old smartphones will be considered absolutely bonkers. I think it's going to go round again, and we're going to go, hang on a minute, let's get a grip, because we've gone too far down the line. And there is a link. We're in a mental health crisis with our youngsters. That's undoubtedly, in schools, you speak to teachers. There's a lot of anxiety. There's huge amounts of self-esteem issues. There's body image issues. Stuff that is, fair enough, always been around, but we are at a real high point of it. So yeah, I think we're at a tipping point. And I'd like to say that this conversation, actually, there's a bit of hope here, because I think more upskill that parents get, then we can upskill the kids. And I believe it's all about educating the kids, as well in this conversation, because they're savvy, these kids, and actually when they start thinking about things in a slightly different way, the penny starts to drop. I had a workshop last week in a school, and I was talking to some year 8 girls. So they were 13, and they decided together collectively to make a pact about TikTok, because they spent all their time, whenever they were hanging out, they weren't talking to each other, they weren't chatting, they weren't laughing or whatever they were doing. They spent all their time huddled around a phone trying to do a little TikTok dance, whatever they were doing. And actually it was making their friendship dynamic a bit weird, and no one was talking. So they together collectively made this pact, and I thought, well, that's really cool. So I see whispers of that happening. So there is a shift, but at the moment we're just sort of on the point where the shift is happening. So I think it's hopeful, but yeah, we've still got quite a lot of work to do.
I think it's interesting, because as I say, we're looking, secondary schools is what we're going to be looking at, and the schools around here, one of them has now banned smartphones throughout the day. The other one had allowed them at break times, but is possibly looking at banning them through the day. And it is, as you say, isn't it? Because they're the guinea pigs, because this smartphone revolution happened and everyone was like, oh, hang on, we're not ready for this. We haven't got rules in place. We don't know what's going to happen.
Well, exactly. No, you're right, Jim. I mean, when I started IDU 7 years ago, I sort of went with this, concept. I was saying, look, we really need to make sure that this is managed. We can't just give our young people literally the internet in their pocket and off they go. It's bonkers. And I literally fell on deaf ears, because the whole remit from schools, the narrative from schools was very much like, actually, hang on a minute, we need to be embracing technology. This is going to enhance their learning. This is going to enhance their communication skills. This is going to enhance their friendships. This is going to enhance every part of their life. And 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line, as I said, we're armed with those statistics, which are really, really powerful now. And that's why I think, amazingly, lots of schools are now having to go back to the drawing board and go, hang on a minute, we've got this wrong. I mean, I've done workshops where kids are allowed smartphones in the actual workshop. I mean, it's a complete joke. It's like, oh no, they won't be using their phones. And it's like, well, yeah, they're all kind of like laughing at me, taking photographs of me. Like, it's horrendous. So, it's gone to the point. And now, as I said, I think the schools they're really engaged with this conversation, much more so than ever before. So I think we are going to see the shift in things. But, the schools, they have a difficult job, because lots of the stuff that potentially goes wrong online actually happens off their watch. So it will happen at home, at the weekends, where actually that's really hard for a school to police or manage in the school setting. So I think for the schools, they really want engaged parents. They really want parents to actually make some noise. They really, I think they really want parents to question their social media policies. They want them to look at their smartphone policies. And I think that's when we're going to see the change. So I really think it's, without sounding too cheesy, I think it is a bit power to the parents here, that, we can collectively go, hang on a minute, if your child's about to go into year 5, why should that automatically assume that they get given an iPhone? That's ridiculous. Why should they get given a smartphone when they're in year 5? That's very much the narrative that comes from the schools. So I think the power to the parents here is the real game changer.
Mm-hmm. And do you interacting with parents as well? Do you get a handle on what parents' attitudes are?
Yeah, so I'm one of the, there's an amazing movement. So some of you guys might have heard of it, called the Smartphone Free Childhood, which has just like ignited. It's been all over the press. It's really, I think even Rishi Sunak quoted us the other day. And so I'm one of their, I'm very privileged to be one of their named speakers. So I'm working with a lot of parents. I'm doing a lot of online sessions with parents, because parents are saying, whoa, this is terrifying. My child is about to enter secondary school. You know, a bit like you, Jim. I've got a child who's is about to go into year 6, so that's all coming to me. You know, what do we do? So I'm definitely engaged with parents, and I think parents are, look, it's difficult, I get it. I mean, I've got 3 small children. It's really hard. Everyone's got super busy lives, and you know what, sometimes give them a screen, oh, you get a moment's peace. I get it. But I think actually when we look really deeper about the impact that it's having, you know, the kids aren't playing anymore. They're not able just to be bored. They're not able just to hang out. They're not able just to, I don't know, make a den or whatever else we used to do. They have to be constantly glued to something. So I think definitely parents are really willing to listen, way more than ever before. In the last 6 months, I say this has massively changed. It's really, the conversation has just kind of, it's ignited. It's gone up a gear, which is fantastic.
So is this part of the reason then you say you bought the outdoor project? Is that kind of the reason? Because that's very much about getting kids out there and doing things, right?
Yeah, the outdoors project. I mean, I think you've had lovely Rob on here, who runs the Worthing branch. Do you know Rob?
Not, but we have done events with Rob.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Some Nerf wars.
Yeah, oh, Nerf wars, yeah. So the outdoors project just it randomly sat in my lap. I know that sounds a bit funny, but I'd been toying with the idea a little bit. And Rob had annoyingly taken my territory, which is Worthing. So I was offered the Chichester. So yeah, I've taken it on, and my husband Will's sort of my business partner on this, and it was just a lovely synergy, and I love the concept.
Oh, we've lost Kate there, unfortunately.
You'll see me. Oh yeah.
Oh, you're back. You're back. There you go.
Yeah, it's all about getting kids outside, having fun, playing, you know, games. And you know, the parent, as far as parents concerned, it's a dream, because they arrive in their nice little thing, and you pick them up absolutely filthy, absolutely exhausted, happy days. So the outdoors project is absolutely fantastic. If anyone is looking for any childcare in the holidays, then get the outdoors project on your list, because it's a winner.
If anyone's looking for that, everyone's looking for it.
Everyone's
Everyone
looking.
is. We're all desperate for it.
Because I'm sure if you guys are Worthing, then go to Rob. If you're more Chichester side, then come to us. We're running from Edgcumbe's Roastery, which is just outside Arundel, actually. So yeah, we've got a very fun summer planned.
And it's sort of like it's like the mini Dadler Soul. It's Dadler Soul for kids, and it's like Kidler Soul, because it's very much that sort of it seems to be that sort of what we always talk about is the Trojan horse to sort of well-being and to good mental health. Is people come along to our events, but they don't come along to our events because, you know, we're here to end social isolation in dads. They come to our events because we put on things for them, and they want to come, and they enjoy being there, and they get to talk to new friends, and they get to do activities and things like that. And I guess that's kind of the same thing, right?
Exactly, Jim. And you know what? I know Dadler Soul is really big. It's like you can just arrive, you know, at Dadler Soul, or even outdoors project, little kid, and you can kind of do or be what you want to be. And that's really lovely to see some kids who, you know, might find certain sort of sporting activities or certain things within a kind of closed space quite difficult to navigate. When you're outside, you can just roam off, do your own thing. You can chat to people. So it's a really nice inclusive space. You know, just like what you guys offer. Kids don't want to be too kind of hemmed in or told what to do. It's just that lovely space. You can just be what you want to be and have fun and join in when you want to join in. If you don't want to join in, that's cool. Go and hug the trees. That's also wonderful. It's just, you know, allowing kids just to be kids. And I love that. Just let them, you know, let them do make believe, let them make up little. I mean, we do amazing. One of our best days is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, by the end of the day, the kids, not gonna lie, it goes a bit woo, but it's, you know, we're making up little dens, and they're making little Charlie and Chocolate Factory, making their chocolate rivers out of leaves and branches, and it's incredible what they come up with. And that's all just because they've had to be. They're just got, it's creative play. You know, and scientifically, that's so good for their brains. It's so good for their minds as well. So I'm all for the outdoors, and you know, and I think when it comes to screens, and I think, you know, going back to sort of talking and, mental health and, actually talking, even just those random conversations, talking is so important. And the amount of school environments I've been in, and I hear silence, and it's really worrying. I'm just, I see kids at the end of the day and they get handed their phone and boop, off they go. There's no that chat at the end of the day. Oh, maths was awful. Oh, she was such a da-da-da. Whatever that might be. But those kind of conversations, as we all know, whether you're 6 or whether you're 76, are so important in life. And I think I'm just the talking side of things is so important. And unfortunately, screens. You see families and they don't talk anymore. Everyone's locked behind that all the time. So yeah, I think thinking about communication is really important. And as much as communication online can be fantastic, I mean, look at this evening, it's brilliant, but there is a place for it. And I think we really need to be very conscious of that place with our particularly with our youngsters.
I do think about that, like Twitter or X or whatever it's called. The last few weeks has just been like a hellhole. It's been horrible. I'll go on there and I'll look on there and, and I have to do that it kind of for work a little bit. And I'll go on there and I'll come away thinking, that is horrible. But I'm a 45-year-old man and I've got coping mechanisms for that. But it is interesting, isn't it? Because, if you're new to social media, like the world, it doesn't work like that, where you say something and instantly 12 people go, you're wrong and you're stupid and I hate you for saying it.
Yeah, I mean, it's and to think that we think that is okay for our youngsters. Actually, when you break it down like that, it's completely mad. I mean, some of the language, and I talk a lot about language in my workshops, because some of the language that I hear young people say to each other, I know language, whatever, but what they're prepared to say to each other online. And then it's unbelievable. I was in a situation quite recently where a guy he was in year 8, so he was 13, and he'd written something in a WhatsApp group. I mean, really abhorrent, awful. And a mother had seen it and she screenshotted it and took it into the headmaster. And the headmaster said, right, can you read what you wrote? And he goes, I can't possibly read that out loud. He was like, well, why have you written it online? Why have you written it in a group chat online to all your friends, and you can't say it out loud? And that's the thing. They don't understand that. And they can't understand that really when you're 12, 13. You can't get it. We shouldn't expect them to get it. So yeah, I think, what they are potentially exposed to, what they potentially can see. I mean, some of the images that are out there, it's unbelievable. So I think, we all need to be a bit firmer. And it's really hard. I know there's so much peer pressure because you think you don't want to be the only parent that doesn't allow their children a smartphone, or the only parent doesn't. And that's really difficult to grapple with or to navigate. But I think when it comes to this, we really all have to kind of stand firm and know that we're making the right decisions for our children.
On a wider sort of mental health aspect, what can we do as parents to help our children in that respect?
Well, I think so. When it comes to technology, I think we all must be incredibly aware of how we use our tech in front of our kids. I know I'm definitely like, I get told off by my boys. They're like, "Oh, Mum, you're always on your phone." But little moments like that, when we pick them up from school, if we're still picking them up from school, making sure that our phones are away and we've got eye contact and we're speaking to them, because I think, that's when you're going to find out about what's actually going on with your kids. That little chit chat, at the end of the day, you're like, "How's your day?" I mean, I get like you don't really get any kind of, "Oh, well, this happened." You're going to find out those snippets of actually how someone is really by just those little whispering conversations and those little, just the little chat. So, and I think being open with our children is really important. And I think as parents, sometimes I find I'm like, "Oh, I'm having a really bad day, guys. I'm really struggling." And I think it's important to say that to our kids sometimes. I mean, my husband's quite emotional, so he doesn't cry all the time, but he does cry. And actually, I think it's quite good for my boys to see him actually, "Oh, Daddy's having a hard day." Or I think sharing our own struggles with our children, obviously appropriately, I think is important for them, because then they know that it's okay to talk and it's okay to have a bad day and it's okay to feel the way they feel. So I think talking and being honest and open with our children where we can is really imperative.
On the topic of what they say when they come back from school, the other day, my kids came out. I was like, "Oh, what did you do?" It's going, it's fine, whatever. They're just the mumbles.
Yeah.
An hour later, I found out that Olympic gold medal winner Johnny Brownlee had been in to do a presentation.
I'm losing you. I've lost you, Jim. Jim? Can you hear me? Jim?